Link engaged.
Visit us at TeamSpeak.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We've made it to the finals of a sick run of TL Open number 19, sponsored by TeamSpeak. We've seen both of these players take out champions and have a very difficult path to get here to the finals. In the top right, the Panzer General, it is GoOdy. And in the bottom left, it's NEXHack taking out his teammate in the round of 4. Now, I want to look back to the TVT that GoOdy played in the semifinals. I think everyone would agree that it wasn't the cleanest play, but the thing I learned from that is that GoOdy plays a style that maybe not everyone is familiar with, and what that does is gives him an advantage in strange situations. He knows when to attack, when to pull out, and how to win these strange battles that you may not be familiar with if you're not used to playing a mech player. That's the advantage you get when you fight unorthodox, when you box left-handed, and that's what GoOdy has in his corner.
Yeah, I agree with you, and he's probably aware that he didn't play perfectly in the semifinals, so a lot of players get a surge or like a boost in the finals after they play a imperfect semis. They're gonna get it together in the finals again if they think about the game a little bit. Because
Definitely.
I think he will have to step it up a little bit compared to what he did in the semis. Not saying he played horrible, but he made many mistakes, and I think he plays better than that usually.
Yeah, I've seen GoOdy play amazing games, and you only have to play as well as is necessary to win. So GoOdy did what it took to win, and that got him into the finals, and that's more than 1,022 other players can say. So let's see how well he does here against NEXHack. Hack is going for the refinery first, gonna get that factory out very quickly. GoOdy showing he's not gonna go with that style, going with the barracks first, the more old school classic style, then getting the refinery to follow up.
Yeah, interesting that we have a similar situation from Sherlock against GoOdy, so GoOdy will be prepared. Almost taking out an SCV, that would have been shocking, but I'll let it happen.
Yeah, it was very close, actually.
Yeah, it was very close. Very close.
Got the factory going down, first Marine in production for Hack. SCV retreating for GoOdy as he recalls it back to his main base, dropping that first mule. And let's see where he takes us. He's going to drop the factory very quickly after the second Marine is in production. Second Marine now finishing. And I'm just going to be watching. When does he take that second gas? Many openings in TVT, so we'll have to wait about a minute to 30 seconds to see which way he's going to lean.
Heck, actually starting to work on the neutral depot there. I'm never really sure why people do that, but well, I guess it's just smart. Because it doesn't hurt to kill it, and sometimes you want to build a building there. But you have to be careful that, for example, now an opponent comes with some Marines and you don't look for a moment, your Marines are just going to shoot the depot, gonna die like idiots.
Right. But I'm sure Hack is aware of that, keeping an eye on those Marines. But you're absolutely right. It would be a very embarrassing situation to have 4 Marines run up while you guys are busy shooting a depot, as opposed to the opponents. We've got Starport coming up for Hack. Tech Lab on the barracks going to be swapped out with that Starport. No second gas, so it's going to be uncloaked Banshees, Marines, and Hellions.
And Hack sees a Marine, sees a Hellion. I would have liked him to go into the mech to try to get scouting, but he cannot know it's that open. It's gonna be a Marine Hellion medevac push. Oh my god, Hack gonna not lose the Hellion, but it's gonna be so damaged and has no way to come home and be prepared actually.
Oh my god, and Hack actually shot his own Marine as GoOdy is just gonna press the issue and drive straight up. What is Hack doing? Falling apart. GoOdy is in his main base with 5 Marines and a Hellion, trying to roast these SCVs as they stack up. GoOdy with beautiful micro, pulling it back, trying to line up those SCVs. A lot of damage being done here by GoOdy as the next Hellion is in, as he tries to focus down the Hellion of Hack, trying to get repaired, but it is down. The Banshee is at about 95%. GoOdy continuing to roast the SCVs. Only 1 kill on that Hellion, which I believe was the other Hellion. Not a lot of SCVs kills. There is 1, but he has done so much economic damage and just disrupted the build of Hack. You've got to give the early game advantage to GoOdy.
Well, actually, a really
You've got to, TLO.
No.
You've got to.
A really strange thing happened. Look at the SV count. Does that make any sense to you?
Actually, Hack didn't lose too many SCVs in that attack. He lost some mining time pulling them. He got them injured.
Yeah,
he had some repair.
He only has one SCV less than GoOdy, so GoOdy is ahead. Of course, I'm not gonna take that away from him, but it's way less than it looked like. Looked pretty horrible.
But look at this. GoOdy has a Viking out to take out the Banshee of Hack.
Oh.
Hack has no cloak because he didn't go for that second Vespian Geyser. So that means the Banshee is going to go completely down. Let's take a look at the workers killed. It's 4-4. Oh my god, Hellions from Hack running straight in, but without Blue Flame and without some magic stacking. Look at GoOdy landing his Vikings very quickly and dealing with that very smartly. That's smart. He's got his command center on the way. Hack has his command center on the way, but I think GoOdy has played beautifully here in this early game.
Yeah, a little bit of a big blunder. He has 100 energy on his orbital and 5 SCVs queued up in his orbital, and he's not building any. He's also supply stuck, now calling down the supply, so he got a little bit irritated by Hack's terrace. Hack being ahead in supply now and also in economy, so having a faster command center, Blue Flame almost done, and yeah, even a second factory, so GoOdy has to spend his minerals. He cancelled all the SCVs in his main house. Has a lot of Vikings, so that's gonna help a lot against drops. And they could actually be pretty strong against Hellions if he just lands them and tries to attack.
Yes. Especially if he lands them behind and tries to flank or tries to cut off the reinforcements. Looks like GoOdy is going for a bit of a strangely timed attack in my eyes, but he's going to land the Vikings and go to work on the Hellions. Hack is trying to get his bunker up, but it may not go up in time. We've got all the Hellions going down. Bunker almost complete, but no, it's going to get shut down. And what is Hack to do? He's going to try to push out with his Marines and his Blue Flame Hellions. He's going to land a Viking of his own. This is a really wild game, and GoOdy is continuing to take the fight to Hack.
What the heck is going on, I can only say. And once again, GoOdy proves just to completely startle his opponents by playing different.
Yeah, this is not a style I think Hack has played against many times. Landed Vikings, doing so much damage. Oh my god, lifting his other Viking to get away, and now the siege tank going to be taken away by Hack.
Oh.
After all the madness is over, let's take a look at the supplies. 35 to 31, GoOdy winning that battle. Let's take a look at the income tab as well. It's showing 30 harvesters for GoOdy, 23 for Hack. Hack is going to fly his command center out a little bit before GoOdy, so he's going to have that advantage though.
Will have that advantage, and one more advantage he will have, his production capability already on 3 barracks, 3 factory, 1 with a reactor even, while GoOdy just now starts to throw down his factories. So he has to play it very safe now and try not to lose any SCVs, so he can catch up in units and have a stronger economy and actually benefit from the damage he has dealt early on.
Right, but I don't think anyone is going to be surprised to see that. Even in the games against Strelok, GoOdy was queuing up 5 deep in his command center, and he's still doing it, now canceling a little bit. GoOdy's advantage is the tactics. It's being able to get into situations and positions that his opponent is not familiar at. And look at this, Hack is going to swing around with some Blue Flame Hellions, move in, and try to take out the SCVs, but GoOdy is defending well, running away, and using his landed Viking to mitigate the damage. But more Hellions in the main base, gonna try to snipe off all the SCVs that are stacking up. Oh, good! It burns!
Losing so many. Oh my god, the tank even shooting down more SCVs himself. GoOdy down to 22 workers compared to 31 for Hack. So once again, the game swings around.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate because GoOdy really was working tooth and nail to get that advantage in the early game, and just those Blue Flame Hellions swinging in, taking those Hail Mary shots, has put the game, I would say, significantly in Hack's favor here going into the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, GoOdy has a lot of tanks. If you can make some kind of timing attack work. However, it's so scary to move out right now, losing so many SCVs by Blue Flame Hellions once already, so they could swing by and give you a second visit anytime, so probably not gonna do that. Just try to secure a 3rd base.
Right, GoOdy has plugged that hole though with the barracks, so there's not going to be any more backdoor shenanigans. He's just got to be careful when and if he moves out, that he's scouting well, controlling the watchtowers, and maybe sending SCVs to check for flanking Hellions, because that's an extremely common tactic. While The battle is going on. Just bring in those few Hellions to deal. And look at this. Hellions running through, but getting caught by Goody's Hellions. All the Hellions going down, and that's a lot of tanks for Goody.
And we have a similar situation to the Strello game. Hack actually has a lot more SCVs, but unit supply for Goody should be pretty equal or even a little bit better, but I don't think he should be moving in there. And losing all the Vikings unnecessarily, Goody being forced to retreat back, I think that's a wise decision, and he should be throwing down his third command center dead.
I'm actually surprised that Goody fell behind in the tank count. I thought he had more hidden under there, but Hack has actually jumped ahead in the middle of the map with tank count. Goody's siege tank's going to be able to, or not going to be able to see, as the Vikings are spotting 4 Hacks. A little bit of Hellion battles going on. Goody gets driven back just a little bit. Supply starting to go further and further in Hack's favor, 108 to 83.
I really like how Hack always sends 2 SCVs to the front to auto-repair all the units. That's very cute and smart. Another engagement looking pretty good for Hack. Having the blue flame against normal Hellions makes a huge difference, but there are too many tanks cleaning up everything Hack has. He should be retreating, but he just keeps fighting with Hellions and Vikings like with sticks and stones against a rifle. It's not nice to see Hellions come up against tanks.
That was an extremely surprising battle. Goody came back about 20 supply after that battle. I'd really love to see him put down the 3rd base, but looks like he's adamant about just staying on 2 bases, controlling Blue Flame Hellions again in the natural of Goody, lining up all the SCVs. Not going to be able to take out that many, but still frustrating to deal with this sort of harassment. And they get 5 or 7 kills, and that's just that much more of an advantage for Hack. Hack now dropping his 3rd base. He feels secure enough to get that command center in his natural. He's continuing to produce tank Hellion, and now switching over to Medevacs as well.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems for Goody will be he will almost be unable, it's almost going to be impossible to catch up in Viking count. So Hack is always going to have the spotting advantage. Now going to be able to fire down on those tanks, move one tank a little bit too close. But yeah, he's going to do that. A bit of a blunder, but could have done that better. But still securing the gold now, being in a nice position with his tanks where he's not going to allow Goody to move any closer.
Yeah, I think Goody has resigned himself that he's going to be behind in the spotting wars. He's actually getting an armory, so that will be up for upgrades. I wouldn't be surprised to see him add in a Thor so that the Vikings can't just hang out above his tanks all day, and Goody will be using scans to spot as opposed to catching up in the Vikings. We've got a drop escorted by the Vikings. It's going to be 4 Blue Flame Hellions moving into the main. A scan actually going off for Hack so he can see there's nothing there to try to stop these Blue Flames from just doing what they were born to do, which is roast SCVs.
But Goody reacts quickly enough to pulls away
every turret!
Oh my god, that was so unnecessary. Losing all the Hellions to drop, killing 2 SCVs.
I'm extremely surprised that Hack let that slip like that.
Too. But one thing to notice, I think those TL opens are always at a really weird time for Koreans, so he's probably getting tired by now.
But, I mean, we've had Hwang Shin, a Korean, win back-to-back, and I believe Hack has been in the finals for 3 TL Opens in a row, so I don't really buy that fatigue excuse.
Okay, maybe not. Or maybe you should see him play when he's not tired.
Maybe he's actually MMA.
Maybe he is. Doesn't matter if he is or not, or if he's prime. Moving out, but decides he doesn't see a 3rd base, doesn't see the gold base either. So he's a little bit reclined to attack, but finally does push anyways.
Goody is counterattacking as opposed to coming back to defend. He's going to be able to kill a lot of SCVs, but he's going to lose his entire standing army, and he knows it. Wow! Very quick GG, and oh my god, that's just how quickly the tables can turn. I felt like Goody was holding it together very well despite being behind a base, but deciding to counterattack when Hack pushed up the west side, and all it took was him to swing around and flank with those battle-armored SCVs. Take game number 1.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that GG. I wouldn't have expected him to go out there already, even though it would have been almost impossible to attack, and probably realized that. Hopefully he's gonna get it together again in game 2 and see what he can do. He had such a nice early game advantage, and then he did one or two tiny mistakes which are so critical against Blue Flame Helens. You really cannot do mistakes, really. He should be aware of that next game.
You know, I think, Teal, we were very critical of both players in series number 1, Goody against Strelok, and I felt like the mistakes that Goody had in series number 1 were still here in series number 2, but just not as amplified. You know, he was still queuing up, but it wasn't that bad, and, you know, his strengths were stronger. He was playing to his tactics, he was hitting kind of these strange timings that were really, really working out for him. That's what he needs to focus on, in my eyes, and take it to game number 2. Just play his game. And, I mean, the entire early game, he was taking it right to Hack, was going pace to pace with them. So, I don't think it's too unlikely to imagine a situation where Hack gets in a position he's not familiar with, runs his army into Goody, and Goody takes control of this in game number 2, which is going to be on Shattered Temple.
Yeah. However, he will be a little bit warned, and Koreans can turn out to be a little bit like Borg from Star Trek. They encounter your tactic, and they're just gonna analyze it. Then it doesn't work anymore. So I could imagine Hack being extremely defensive. Just knowing, it seemed like to him probably like he was a stronger macro player, as he lost so many SCVs but still came back. So
Right.
all he wants to do right
absolutely.
now is not to lose SCVs early on and just have a natural up and running very safe against Troll. Just have a long, nice game, which is probably going to work in his favor.
Yeah, I think that would be very smart out of Hack. So I'm going to be watching for if he modifies his early build order to be that much safer. Alongside TLO, we've got game number 2 loaded here on Shattered Temple. Are you ready?
I am ready as I can be.
Okay, so we're going to see, can Goody take it to Hack? Game number 2, stick around. We'll be back right after this.